Bienvenidos, gracias por acompañarme. El día de hoy está conmigo Matthias Berninger. Él es el vicepresidente de Asuntos Públicos y Sustentabilidad para Bayer. Thank you for being with us today. And we were just talking about how you live in Washington, D.C., which is a beautiful city, but it's also the place where a narrative, a complex narrative in terms or against sustainability and diversity has arisen. And this is very important because you are leading the sustainability and public affairs at Bayer. And so I want to begin with that. Has Bayer shifted the strategy in which you approach these topics? Is this something that worries you, or is just making you work more?
Well, to begin with, I'm very glad to be here. Last time we met, it was the pandemic.
Yes.
And I think that with a lot of very important innovations, we were able to collectively as a world to overcome it. Many people forget that, but I'm very, very happy that we had vaccines and global collaboration to overcome the pandemic. And we need innovation and global collaboration going forward. You ask about Washington, D.C. I work on sustainability topics since, embarrassingly so, 1992.
Wow.
So a very long time. The first conference on sustainability was in Rio. Back then the COP process started, now COP is coming home to Brazil. And in those years, I have seen sustainability being a topic everybody was excited about, and I've seen backlash situations. The main point is climate change, extreme weather events, and the problems for humanity ensuing from that will not go away. You can manage a pandemic poorly and still hope the pandemic goes away. Unfortunately, for climate change, that is not the case. We serve millions of farmers, and these farmers are very often affected by those extreme weather events. And especially the smallholder farmers have not contributed to climate change. They are not the ones that emitted the emissions that ultimately led to the problem. And that's why we at Bayer decided it's not about whether we have headwinds or tailwinds, whether it's nice or not to talk about it. We need to stick to talking about it and providing solutions so that our customers can thrive.
Talking a little bit about more about climate change and the COP, which you just mentioned, which will be in November, if I am correct.
That is correct.
The next one. And I think this is really important. We cannot talk about agriculture or food security or the supply chain of food and health if we don't address climate change. And so my next question or follow-up is, in North America, we are a complementary region in terms of food security. And if we leave climate change on the side and don't think about this, in a world where we're also talking about tariffs and protectionism, the idea of food security or even ending poverty, which is important for our conversations in November at the COP, are less viable. How should the region approach these challenges and maybe arrive with something or a proposal at the COP that could work to lower this uncertainty that we're living?
One of the things the President of Mexico does exceptionally well is her ability to really deeply listen in these very confrontative times to the US side. There has been a change in government and problems started to occur, but the President of Mexico sticks to a strategy of deeply listening and seeking to understand. And in my conversations in Washington, it's pretty clear nobody would like to see hunger increasing. Nobody would like to see food inflation increasing. In fact, everybody is interested to solving these problems. And we will not be able to make the progress we need if we fall back into finger pointing. You have said it, North America is a very integrated region. Food inflation as a problem can only be solved if Canada, the United States, and Mexico work together. All of these regions have strengths and weaknesses in their agricultural systems. Climate change will create a lot of chaos in the food system, so we need that collaboration. And what I really like is that the farmers in Canada, in the United States, and also here in Mexico completely understand that.
What about regenerative agriculture? How is Bayer innovating in that, or allowing us to understand how we should work towards that in this context of, again, not only uncertainty, but weather, extreme weathers, and a lot of rain where there wasn't?
Regenerative agriculture for a smallholder farmer means to be able to produce more on less land, and at the same time also to need less inputs, for example, to need less fertilizer, to need less water to achieve that. It sounds like magical, and the beauty about agriculture is it's a place where this magic actually can happen. And under the headline or the buzzword of regenerative agriculture, we see that progress. We believe we can produce more on less land. I talked about 1992.
Yeah.
So if you compare soybean production in Brazil, 1992 to today, the overall production in Brazil grew by a factor of 10. The overall land that the Brazilians have been using for producing these soybeans only grew by a factor of 5. That means in the time I'm working on sustainability, people were able to double the yield. And that is only possible because we leverage breakthroughs in science, and we work very closely with the farmers that then actually make it happen.
We've been hearing about bacterial immunoresistance, and as you said at the beginning of the interview, we survived COVID and the pandemic thanks to a global work that was together, like we did it together. So now in terms of what is coming ahead, we need to be ready for another pandemic, but we need to be ready for many other things that are new. Where is Bayer finding new opportunities in areas that could improve our health and make us be ready for these changes that will happen? As you say, there might be another pandemic or something else that puts us at risk.
I mean, first of all, we have this mission of health for all, hunger for none. So our focus is humanity in its totality. When you look at the healthcare systems, only 5 of the 8+ billion humans today really have access to reasonably healthcare. So there is a lot of room for the pharma industry, for healthcare business in general, to achieve that goal of health for all. And that's a growth opportunity we want to pursue. We are not focused only on the United States because there the profits are the highest. Health for all means for us to invest in places like Mexico, we have just done that, to invest in places like Africa where the health gap is the biggest, and in countries where we invest to also look at communities that are really not benefiting from good health coverage. That's the health for all side. The exciting part is that at the intersection of biology, chemistry and artificial intelligence. That intersection brought us, for example, the new generation of vaccines. At that intersection, amazing innovations are possible. In the cell and gene technology, we are no longer programming computers, we start to program cells.
Wow.
And we are making huge progress in that space. We are also making huge progress using artificial intelligence to come up with new chemistry. Even people at Bayer, I mean, we started to employ chemists in 1863. Abraham Lincoln was US president back then. Even chemists at Bayer are completely blown away by the new possibilities of artificial intelligence in the development of new molecules that ultimately lead to innovative medicines. And then thirdly, you need to focus on what we call unmet needs. An area that has been neglected by pharma research is, for example, menopause in women. Millions, hundreds of millions, if not billions of women suffer from the symptoms, and we are working on bringing innovative solutions in the area that increases the health of women to the market as we speak.
What are the 2 topics that you think are the most important to address and what keeps you looking forward to it?
COP will be a pretty serious business. Unfortunately, the United States will not play a leading role. That's going to be a problem, and Andre Dolago, who has to manage that COP, works very hard to still make this event a success. What I expect is that we are focusing on reducing the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Less talk, less funny meetings, less finger pointing. What are transformational, disruptive solutions that can help reducing the actual concentration? Because let's not forget, since the first COP, the carbon emissions only went up and the concentration of greenhouse gases was always higher than in the COP before. I do believe in the power of disruptions. We see it with renewable energy, today competitive with all other energy sources in the electricity space. We see it in agriculture, where we have amazing disruptive innovations in our pipeline, and very often, for example, short corn here in Mexico already in the field. I think disruptive innovations are there, and that's what I'm looking forward to, that we focus on the stuff that really gets the job done, and we don't look at each other with a depressed look on our faces, or we engage in finger pointing. I think the finger pointing is one of the biggest challenges we have, and the righteousness that some people believe they are smarter than others. And that's also true for the climate movement. It's not enough to believe that you are right, you also need to get the right stuff done.
Let's end with that, because I think that's a powerful message that we need all for embracing the risks that we are about to head on face in the world. Thank you, Matthias, again for being with us. Y gracias a ustedes en la audiencia por habernos acompañado. Nos vemos pronto. Buenas tardes.